The idea is that the Mayan calendar itself kind of ends in 2012, and that there's this kind of cyclical progression. The Mayans had a kind of fractal model of time that they were looking at as a kind of spiraling process linked to consciousness, and that it goes through these different stages and levels of consciousness evolution, which complete the process on the Earth in 2012.
2012, the beginning of something or the end of something. No one knows for sure, but it's open to so much interpretation. Michael Tsarion has certainly earned our respect for his remarkable research. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Nice to be back.
2012. Did the Mayans simply run out of stone when they were crafting that calendar, or did it end there deliberately? What's your take on all this?
The thing that makes the Mayan thing so extraordinary, of course, is that the prophecy, the whole idea that time, perhaps, or history. I prefer history, not time, because it is pretty much a disinformationalistic thing when people are talking about time or reality or nature or matter coming to an end. This is what puts, of course, a lot of fear into people, and quite rightly, because it's a misinterpretation. Oh, just because something that the human animal has concocted, something vile, perfidious, unjust, sadistic, and cruel that the human mind has come up with, i.e. history, i.e. cities, and a certain way of life, just because that might be coming to an end, in no way implies that nature itself is in any danger. This is one of the most crucial things to, convey.
Well, that's our egocentric species perspective.
There's changes. Haven't we just witnessed a tsunami that came and destroyed the lives of God knows how many millions of people while we sat back in our comfortable armchairs? Haven't we seen Mexico City being devastated? These things happen all over the planet. So we cannot say that there is no such thing as phenomena that takes place that is considered utter tragedy or travesty. My God, it's happening right now.
Well, my feeling is that I believe that the human, or what would pass for a human species, an ordered societal evolution of such, has occurred over and over again over the millennia that this planet, this 4 billion year history, has existed. I think been around before.
And you have just then put into a nutshell exactly what the main Maya mythos is really about, because they had one of the most elaborate creation myths that anyone could ever hope to read. It was the Native American Indian one, and it spoke exactly what you're talking about. It's not the only one in the world that did, but it was one of the most fantastic to read. They talk about the 4 or the 5 great ages, and they say that an age opens, reaches its peak, comes to its close, and then, there's a cleansing, and then there's a moving on to another frequency, another dimension. In each age, there is the good and bad. It's not that there's some sort of age of enlightenment in which at all times in that age, a good reign. It is known that all physical matter, everything that exists outside, everything that manifests, certainly in a social sphere, is articulated to consciousness.
The only truth is we are infinite consciousness. We are all that ever has been.
Meaning that whatever the temperature, the climate, the temperament of the human psyche collectively manifests a certain reality outside. Therefore, I ask a question. If something is going to happen at 2012 that absolutely changes the kind of way that we have been living, the kind of history that we've been created, that the idioms that our forefathers, our mothers and fathers, our grandparents have all taken for granted, if all of these things are going to pass away, then it's not just some movement on the celestial clock, some shadow on the time dial, objective phenomena, we can't do anything about it, oh my goodness, which sends us rushing into the churches and rushing in to ask George Bush to protect us all and all of this. No, it's all articulated inside consciousness, meaning that consciousness affects matter to a greater dimension than matter affects consciousness. We know there's a reciprocal connection between the two, and I have found that the answer is yes, it is. That is what the ancient Maya were saying. That's what the ancient Druids were saying, and that's what all true teachers, philosophers, and activists must understand today. That if there is changes in history, it is predicated upon certain intellectual, mental, emotional, psychic climate that's happening within people. Why we're still talking about the Maya, the reason is because we are living in a particular age that they refer to as the age of revealing. They literally use that term. They said that from 1999, which is, let me be specific, it's December 21st, 1999, we would be in what was called a 13-year countdown to the end date, or the 0 hour of 2012. And the Maya specifically mentioned that. Now, the reason why it's important to us today is because many of the things that they implied are actually happening. They're literally taking place in front of our eyes to those who have pattern recognition and symbolic literacy.
You can see. Look into your mind. tell us why it's more fun to be optimistic than paranoid?
Well, one thing, longevity statistics. Optimists live longer. John Barefoot of Duke University has collected a lot of statistics on that. Optimistic people outlive pessimistic people consistently. If you compare them by sex, by age, by eating habits and diet, by lifestyle, by race, by all sorts of things, the optimists live longer. Also, optimists have more fun. And besides, maybe things are going to turn out okay, in which case the pessimists are killing themselves and being miserable for no good reason at all. And the final reason is, even if everything is going to turn out terribly, the optimists are having more fun before the final tragedy comes. Whereas the pessimists are living in misery all the time.
The Maya talked about the age of psychologically translated, that represents the coming down of the mask. What is the mask? It's the mask that we all wear, that all people wear, and it's necessary to have the persona, it's necessary to have the mask so that we can conceal our motives from other people. There's nothing inherently negative with that. But the mask has a separate function as well. The mask is how the devilish, evil people of the world disguise who they are. So the mask has two functions. And when the Maya are talking about the mask coming down, we as protagonists in this great game of Armageddon need to be very aware of what that will mean, because if we're not aware, we're going to be stimulated to false action, out of fear, out of paranoia. What my message is to people is that when you start seeing the mask slipping, as it already has begun to slip on physical people that you know, even on the social and political stage, you better know what's happening so that you don't react inadvisably. You have to be okay with those changes, because it's a kind of light that is coming in that reveals the dirt that is in people and that is in society. Now, the thing that we have to specifically understand that goes along with that is this. If it's true that there's a Pluto alignment or photonic energy, or we're counting down to the Maya 0 hour, all of this stuff that doesn't really concern me what type of terminology is used, but if there is some ending cycle that is coming, then it's not only going to be the children of light and the children of truth and the children of justice who are going to feel it and want it. The other side, that means those people who've been hiding behind the mask and have a hell of a lot to lose should the mask start slipping. Right. They are going to want to take counter actions to make sure that, the game stays the way it is, and the ambiance remains as toxic as they always want it to be. Rather than some airy-fairy New Age malarkey, this is very much concerned with the other side.
Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account. This has to be.
What are we likely to see reactively from those people? I believe we are seeing those symptoms, and it's going to continue right now to 2012.
And one of them may be the non-stop destruction of the environment, as if there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, but also comes the tyranny over the human mind, which will increase as the time goes by.
Ruthless.
People need to become aware of what is going on and just try to offset the worst of it by getting back into their center, getting back to their spiritual source if they have one, and also to realize that change is healthy. I think that one of the most important things that a conservative culture or civilization like we're living in really need to understand is that change is good. Go with it, learn to love it, flow with it, because there is major change coming, and that change is going to be felt on all of the levels of being. I am expecting a lot of people to be hitting us back with, I'm not seeing any kinds of changes going on. Then don't put your focus only on the material, on the physical, because Pluto's action, or the countdown to the 2012, is going to be very much influences that are felt on different levels by different people. You and I know full well that we're already seeing massive changes in the New World Order, and that's political. But see, some people are just stone dead. They cannot see those changes, or they are programmed to believe that those are just natural, autonomous changes that take place in the political sphere. But I'm even adding to that. I'm saying look out for those changes that are happening in your most domestic circle. If you're collectively blind and you can't see what's happening outside, you're certainly going to see it in the changing of your relationships with the people that you know, family, with your children, and also at work. You're going to be experiencing all of this. So you have to know why it's happening so you're not reacting in a fear reaction. And as Jordan Maxwell and others have said so many times, you end fear by knowledge. When you know what is happening, right, and you've read the manual, well, then there's no reason for fear. Now it becomes actually quite an experience for you, a new interesting experience in which you're fully empowered.
Precisely.
Oh my God, lift me up out of this illusion, Lord. Heal my perception that I may know only reality and only you.